On July 24, 2017, President Rodrigo Duterte will deliver his second State of the Nation address. Duterte's election just over 1 year ago demonstrated a clear desire of the Filipino people for genuine change in the Philippines and a fundamental departure from previous regimes. Since then, grassroots organizations in the Philippines and worldwide have raised our most urgent concerns with the president in various venues, including street protests, dialogues with the administration, hosting the People's Summit, and submitting the People's Agenda for Change to the president on his inauguration day.
We have raised opposition to the drug war, the need for land reform, an end to labor contractualization, a national minimum wage, pursuing the peace process, the release of all political prisoners, a stop to the militarization of our communities, the creation of jobs through national industrialization, an end to U.S. military intervention, the expansion of social services, and support for progressives in the cabinet. President Duterte will deliver his State of the Nation address following a year of his tragic and misguided war on drugs, amid the crisis in Marawi and martial law in Mindanao, and amid U.S. intervention and worsening economic conditions of the people. But what has really changed? The People's State of the Nation address actions will be held across the world to call attention to the people's continuous demands and hold Duterte accountable for unfulfilled promises.
Members of Gabriela USA urge President Duterte to end martial law in Mindanao, state violence, and the neglect of our Filipino women. The heightened militarization in the region will not secure communities nor provide protection. Gabriela acknowledges the stories of the women and children who are even more vulnerable to abuse at the hands of military and armed terrorists around the world. We condemn the cruel humor of President Duterte that condoned violence against women, granting immunity to soldiers for the rape of women during martial law. Filipino women and children, as well as members of the LGBT community, have long suffered from the effects of militarization in our homeland. Cases of rape, sexual harassment, and murder have all been reported in areas where U.S. bases and U.S. soldiers are located. In 2014, Filipino trans woman Jennifer Lade was murdered by a Marine soldier, Joseph Scott Pemberton. We also cannot forget the case of Nicole, who was raped by U.S. soldier Daniel Smith, while his other companions cheered him on. Both cases are the manifestation of U.S. militarization and U.S. imperialism in our homeland and its blatant disregard of our national sovereignty. So until Duterte lifts martial law and U.S. troops leave the Philippines, violence against women and children will continue.
Under the Duterte administration, youth and students continue to face an uphill battle in accessing their right to education. In its first year of implementation, the K-12 system, which added grades 11 and 12 to high school in the Philippines, saw disastrous results. Over 2.5 million youth who completed grade 10 did not enroll in grade 11, meaning that those youth who would have been considered high school graduates are now considered high school dropouts. Even the so-called free tuition policy for state colleges and universities is a lie. Rather than providing free access to college for all youth, this policy keeps the same high cost of tuition and makes tuition free for only students who can prove that their families are impoverished. For indigenous Lumad children, the situation is even worse. Just this past month, military operations in Surigao del Sur forced over 2,000 Lumad people to flee their communities. This also meant that over 600 children could not attend their classes. It is clear that the Duterte administration is just continuing to uphold the same failed neoliberal and militaristic approaches of the previous administrations.
President Duterte has yet to fulfill his initial promise to release more than 400 political prisoners, and the pro-US AFP militarist clique in the Duterte government has sabotaged the talks by insisting on prolonged or indefinite ceasefire. The AFP is also carrying out an all-out war against the New People's Army and continues daily bombings on Marawi under Duterte's martial law in Mindanao.
Now, Duterte has called off the peace talks, exposing the GRP's insincerity in the process. BAYAN USA, Anakbayan USA, and Gabriela USA call on Duterte to immediately lift martial law, genuinely pursue the peace process, end Oplan Kapayapaan, and fulfill his promises to release political prisoners, create a national minimum wage, implement free tuition for state universities and colleges, and uphold Philippine sovereignty. At the People's SONA actions, we will be protesting the status quo of U.S. imperialist domination of our country and corrupt trapo politics. We demand the genuine development and industrialization of the Philippine economy for the benefit of the Filipino people so it can be a country where mothers and fathers don't have to choose between raising their children or working abroad just to feed them. It's time to ensure a just and lasting peace by building a self-reliant and sovereign Philippines.